In a women's prison, a mysterious and feared inmate named Lorna stands out for her eerie presence. She showers wearing a collar, rarely speaks, and hides her identity with black dye constantly seeping through her hair. When the ink stains her back, it draws attention and she reveals herself, her unsettling aura and chilling presence confirming her reputation. Lorna is the daughter of Magneto and has inherited his powerful ability to control magnetic fields, turning any metal into a deadly weapon. When a man foolishly asks her to demonstrate her powers, she obliges by levitating a nearby car and then violently slamming it to the ground, leaving it destroyed, proving just how dangerous she truly is. Despite her immense powers, Lorna lives as an outcast in a world where mutants are criminalized. When surrounded by police, she refuses to surrender and uses her abilities to destroy their vehicles and disarm them, trying to avoid killing. With help from Marcos, she briefly escapes, but he is shot, triggering her rage. Losing control, she attacks violently, but is eventually subdued and captured. Although the police initiated the conflict, Lorna is charged with attempted murder and faces severe punishment due to being a mutant. Unmoved by a deal to betray her allies, she remains indifferent to her fate until she is manipulated through threats involving her child, which breaks her emotionally and worsens her situation. Transferred to the harsh Lakewood prison, she faces hostility from inmates and strict control measures. There, she notices another restrained mutant and realizes the prison is filled with metal, something she could potentially use to her advantage. Lorna tries to escape, but discovers her powers are suppressed by her collar, something other inmates confirm. No mutant has ever escaped alive. Realizing she must survive for her unborn child, she seeks information, but is warned off due to fear of the prison boss. Observing the prison, she sees escape is nearly impossible without powers. When she refuses to submit to the boss's humiliation, she is brutally beaten. Provoked further with threats towards her baby, Lorna's maternal instinct pushes her to fight back despite the collar's pain. She uses her powers briefly to retaliate, but is quickly overwhelmed by the boss's henchmen. Despite not starting the conflict, she is punished and thrown into solitary confinement, highlighting the harsh and unjust treatment she faces simply for being a mutant. Lorna endures brutal isolation, treated like an animal and mentally tormented while authorities threaten her unborn child to force cooperation. Instead of breaking, this strengthens her resolve to escape. She pushes past the collar's pain and tries to use her powers, but the effort overwhelms her and she collapses before getting far. In a brief, emotional memory of her love with Marcos, she finds strength, but reality returns as guards stop her escape. To prevent further attempts, she's transferred to a high-security transport designed to neutralize her abilities. There, she encounters Reed, who apologizes and proposes they work together, revealing a rescue plan already in motion. Though hesitant, Lorna agrees for her child's sake. When the transport is attacked, chaos erupts, but the rescue fails as mutant powers are mysteriously suppressed. It's revealed that Pulse, a fallen mutant, is being used to neutralize abilities. As the situation worsens, Marcos risks his life using a gun to distract the enemies and create a chance for Lorna, while authorities scramble to secure the prisoners. Lorna seizes an opportunity to fight back during transport, but they and the others are initially overpowered. The situation turns when John skillfully disarms the guards and disrupts Pulse's suppression, restoring Lorna's powers. Using a metal pin from Reed's leg, she frees herself and unleashes her abilities, deflecting bullets, disarming agents, and forcing a retreat. Reunited briefly with Marcos, they face new threats as drones track them. Working together, they destroy one using clever coordination, but are soon blocked by sentinels. Instead of fleeing, Lorna confronts them head-on, effortlessly overpowering them and capturing Jace. Driven by revenge for how he threatened her unborn child, Lorna takes Jace to a warehouse and has Dreamer invade his memories to extract information. As Jace suffers through the process, authorities quickly surround them. To buy time, Lorna unleashes a massive display of power, using metal rods to attack and hold off the advancing forces, forcing the Sentinels to rethink their strategy. The authorities counter Lorna's attack with tear gas, forcing a retreat, but Dreamer successfully extracts a key clue from Jace's memories, a location where mutants are being held. To act on it, Lorna captures and interrogates guards, confirming the intel, but realizes their team is too small for a direct rescue. She recruits and trains 3 young mutants: Wes, who creates illusions, Lauren, who forms solid air barriers, and Andy, whose powerful but unstable abilities can break molecular structures. Splitting into teams, they carry out a mission to steal critical data. Despite close calls, they succeed in retrieving files and escape using teamwork. Lorna deflects bullets, Lauren lifts their vehicle over a barricade, and Wes creates illusions to mislead pursuers. However, their success is short-lived. During a rescue attempt, they discover a traitor among them, an extremely fast and deadly fighter who quickly incapacitates much of the team, overpowering even their strongest members and turning the situation dangerously against them. The team manages to stop the traitor through coordinated teamwork. Marcos traps her, Clarice teleports John into position, and he knocks her out. Realizing how dangerous even one infiltrator can be, they know they must uncover her motives. However, her extreme speed makes interrogation difficult, as even Dreamer's abilities are ineffective. Lorna tries to corner her, but communication fails. Then, Marcos realizes she is an addict and suggests exploiting her withdrawal symptoms. Using teamwork again, Andy and Lauren restrain her, allowing the doctor to sedate her and secure her, finally giving the team a chance to get answers. Lorna restrains the captured traitor and learns she was actually a victim, forced into betrayal after her sick daughter was denied treatment and she was taken by the Sentinels and experimented with. Through Esme's mind reading, they glimpse a lab filled with altered mutants, but the woman dies before revealing more. This tragedy deeply affects Lorna, especially as she faces her own pregnancy. Her baby's movements begin to uncontrollably disrupt her magnetic powers, making her increasingly unstable, especially at night. Haunted by fear, she dreams of a lab where her allies are imprisoned and broken, and hears a baby crying, reflecting her growing anxiety about her child's future. Lorna realizes the baby in her nightmare is her own, and the stress causes her to lose control of her powers in both dream and reality. Marcos calms her, but the vision turns out to be a warning. Dr. Roderick has revived a program that would legalize using mutants as test subjects. Determined to stop it, Lorna's team ambushes a convoy and captures Franklin. Even when facing death, he continues to insult mutants, provoking Esme to nearly kill him in anger. However, she restrains herself for the sake of their mission, and the team begins interrogating him for information. The team disguises themselves as Franklin's unit and infiltrates the summit. While Lorna disables communications, the others move into position. Tracking Roderick to the 3rd floor, they ambush the elevator. Marcos blinds the guards, and John quickly takes them down. However, the plan unravels when a mutant on Roderick's side disrupts Marcos's powers. In a final twist, Roderick grabs a child as a human shield, leaving Marcos unable to act, as Roderick escapes back into the elevator. The team is ambushed by armed bodyguards, forcing John to protect Clarice with his body as the group retreats under heavy fire. Although they manage to escape and return to the safe house, Lorna becomes increasingly disturbed by how violently mutants are treated, and fears she cannot protect her unborn child in such a world. Believing things will never improve through mercy alone, she resolves to take extreme action to create a safer world for mutants. Fully embracing a darker mindset, she secretly heads to a private airport to sabotage a plane, determined to act alone and change the outcome by force. Lorna and Marcos clash over their ideals. He refuses her vision of a new world, while she insists she's tired of hiding and wants change at any cost. After Lorna disappears, the mutant base comes under heavy attack by Sentinel forces and enhanced mutants from the Hound program. Despite the trainees using their powers to delay the assault, they are overwhelmed and forced to retreat. Andy and Lorna stay behind to cover the escape, unleashing a powerful energy burst that destroys the base, leaving it in ruins, with only a few survivors. In the aftermath, Lorna reappears in a darker, more radical state, urging others to join her in rebuilding the world through force. Marcos rejects her plan, setting the stage for a major conflict between them. Lorna continues pursuing her radical vision, and while Marcos refuses to join her, Andy and a few others decide to follow, leading the group to split. Months later, Lorna goes into labor, but her powers, linked to her pregnancy, become dangerously unstable, causing metal objects and even infrastructure to react violently to her condition. To protect everyone, the team prepares an isolated military-grade delivery room, but the situation quickly spirals out of control during childbirth. Her uncontrolled magnetic abilities disrupt the entire facility and nearby power systems, making delivery nearly impossible. As her condition worsens, doctors believe she may die due to psychological trauma and a loss of will to live. In a last effort to save her, Esme and her sisters use their powers to enter Lorna's mind, showing her a hopeful vision of a future where mutants and humans coexist peacefully. Lorna regains her will to live when she hears her child's voice and embraces her newborn, finding peace and strength in motherhood. She successfully gives birth to a healthy baby girl named Dawn, and her comrades witness the emotional moment. When Dawn develops a serious fever and is diagnosed with jaundice, normal treatment fails due to her mutant genes. Doctors conclude that only her father's powers can help. Riva uses this opportunity to reconcile Lorna and Marcos, sending Esme to bring him back. Marcos arrives, emotionally reconnects with his daughter, and uses his powers to heal her with light. The treatment works, and Dawn recovers as her condition stabilizes. Dawn is declared healthy, bringing relief to Lorna, but it also forces her and Marcos to separate again due to their opposing beliefs. Marcos initially plans to leave, but realizes he wants to stay with Lorna and their daughter. However, Esme briefly controls him, though he eventually breaks free and fights back against the Frost sisters. He tries to take Lorna and Dawn with him, but Riva intervenes and suppresses his powers, forcing his efforts to fail. Defeated and heartbroken, Marcos sends a powerful light toward Lorna as a sign of his love and longing, while she watches, conflicted, but determined to prioritize her daughter's future over their relationship. Rebecca is betrayed by her own father, who sells her to a mutant lab for money. She's captured, fitted with a suppression collar, and subjected to cruel experiments, losing trust in everyone and becoming withdrawn and silent. Lorna later rescues her, but Rebecca remains traumatized and refuses to use her powers or speak. Esme's attempt to read her mind only worsens the situation, making others believe she may be beyond help. However, Andy refuses to give up and patiently reaches out to her. Through his kindness and persistence, Rebecca slowly begins to open up again, finally showing a small sign of trust by using her powers to move a bouncy ball. Andy helps Rebecca open up further by taking her out, where she happily eats and begins to regain confidence. She reveals her power to alter object dimensions, even playfully using it to manipulate objects and spell Andy's name. Excited and mischievous, she and Andy prank a passing police car, escalating into them destroying it, though Andy is initially hesitant. Their bond grows stronger, eventually turning romantic as Rebecca becomes more expressive and her powers stabilize and strengthen. In later training and battles, she and Andy coordinate well with the group, with Andy disabling enemies and Lorna deflecting incoming attacks. Rebecca helps the team complete a mission by manipulating space to neutralize the Sentinel threat.